All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. And make sure you check out Pig and a Pickle, two locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right. Well, 49ers are getting ready to head into OTAs, and sure enough, or soon enough, it will be training camp once again. And the big subplot is who's going to be the Niner quarterback. And I get it. And there's a lot of discussion. We've had injuries to Purdy, injury to Lance, the addition of Sam Darnold. And, it's all a big, competition. We're going to find out who the best quarterback is eventually. But the disrespect for Brock Purdy has gone over the top and really needs to end. If you're one of these guys walking around saying that Purdy's limited and Purdy's dink and dunk, you don't know football. Brock Purdy has never lost a game that he started and finished in the NFL. Never. Never lost a regular season game that he started and finished. Never lost a postseason game that he started and finished. Undefeated when he has started and finished a game in the NFL. So that ain't easy. All right. And the amount of disrespect that is coming his way, the people that call him a dink and dunk guy that think that he can't get it done. Once again, those people don't know football. Let's take a deeper dive into the numbers, and we'll really show you exactly what we're talking about with Brock Purdy. Let's go to completed air yards per completion. This is basically a stat that tells you how far did the ball travel in the air. All right. Tua Tagovailoa led the league last year at 8.8 yards. Completed air yards per completion. Tua number one. Okay, but I mean, this stat does not mean everything. Heck, Marcus Mariota is third in the league at 7.2. Zach Wilson's like seventh in the league. Patrick Mahomes, who's the best quarterback in all of football, he's 19th in the NFL in completed air yards per completion at 5.5. Brock Purdy is in front of Mahomes at 5.9. He's 17th in the NFL. But if you look at this is how far did the ball travel in the air per completion. Brock Purdy, 5.9 yards. That's 17th in the NFL. He's ahead of Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and many others. But nobody's questioning Rodgers or Herbert or Stafford or Burrow or Mahomes's ability to push the ball down the field. But they're sure enough going to question Brock, and Brock was 5.9. He was better than Mahomes, better than Burrow, better than A-Rod, better than Herbert, better than Stafford. So let's take that stat and throw it away. All right, let's go to another stat. How about QBR, quarterback rating? Brock Purdy's quarterback rating was 65.6. That was fifth best in the NFL. Jimmy G, by the way, people are like, he's Jimmy G. He's Jimmy G 2.0. How many idiots have said that? Brock Purdy's just Jimmy G 2.0. Jimmy G was 17th in the NFL in QBR. Brock Purdy was fifth last year in the NFL. Only Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen were the only four quarterbacks in the entire league who had a higher QBR than Brock Purdy. So take QBR off the list because Brock Purdy's fifth in the NFL. If he was so bad at driving the ball down the field that he's dink and dunk, he wouldn't be fifth. All right, let's go to, I don't know, how about QB rating? We just went QBR, which is the ESPN stat. How about QB rating? Brock Purdy's QB rating was 107.3. Higher than every other quarterback in the NFL. Number one, higher than Mahomes, higher than Tua, higher than A-Rod, higher than Herbert, higher than Burrow, higher than everybody. 107.3 quarterback rating. Best in the NFL. All right, so what is the stat that probably would either indicate a quarterback is a, quote, dink and dunk guy, which is just a ridiculous thing to say, or isn't. I would say of all the stats out there, it's yards per attempt. Yards per attempt. That is the stat, I think, that probably illustrates the most if a quarterback is a dink or dunk guy. Brock Purdy's 8.1 yards per attempt, second in the entire NFL to Tua Tagovailoa. Second. All right. I mean, Jimmy G also had a good number at 7.9. You know who didn't have a good number? Trey Lance. Trey Lance's number was 6.3. That would have been 33rd in the NFL. Yards per attempt. So there's a lot of people going, you got to go with Lance. You can't go with Purdy. Lance is 33rd in the NFL yards per attempt last year. Purdy second in the NFL yards per attempt. You say, well, small sample size. I agree. Small sample size, especially for Lance. So let's go check out their college numbers. Brock Purdy at Iowa State averaged 8.3 yards per attempt. With the Niners last year, he averaged 8.1 yards per attempt. He's basically the same guy. The same guy he was at Iowa State is the same guy he was with the Niners. 8.3 yards per attempt at Iowa State, 8.1 yards per attempt with the 49ers. Now, Trey Lance might have the ability to really be good in this area. At North Dakota State, he had a 9.3 yards per attempt. Great number. Now we're going to find out. Can he translate that to the NFL? In a very small sample size, last year, he was 6.3 yards per attempt, 33rd in the NFL. So, that to me, Purdy's second in the NFL at 8.1 yards per attempt. And people are going to say he's dink and dunk. Purdy drove the ball down the field. The Niners had virtually no downfield passing attack under Jimmy Garoppolo at all. Almost everything was within 5-10 yards of the line of scrimmage. It wasn't until Brock Purdy stepped in that he started driving the football down the field. And he was second in the entire league at yards per attempt. So it's already pretty nauseating when you really think about it. People are now gotten to the point where they're just creating something out of nothing. It's like Brock Purdy won games. Yeah, but nothing. It's hard to win in the NFL. This guy stepped off the bench in December. He hadn't played since the summer and didn't lose a regular season game, and then won 2 playoff games. And the only playoff game he lost, he only played a series in. And then it was on to the backup quarterback, and he was out of the game. Brock Purdy, perfect record in the regular season. Had better numbers throwing to George Kittle than Jimmy G ever had. Had some of the best numbers of any quarterback in the NFL. Seriously, had better completed air yards per completion than Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, and Matthew Stafford. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Had higher yards per attempt than every quarterback in the NFL except for Tua Tagovailoa. 8.1 yards per attempt. Very similar to what he did at Iowa State. So this idea that, oh my God, Brock Purdy's this, Brock Purdy's that. You were undefeated with Brock Purdy. You beat Dallas in the playoffs. You beat Seattle in the playoffs. Heck, you may have been able to beat the Eagles in the playoffs, but he got knocked out. So we will never know the answer to that one. The guy has never lost a regular season game. He's never lost a game in the NFL that he has started and finished. He is second in the NFL in yards per attempt. What do you want? What more do you need to see? He's got better completed air yards per completion than Rodgers, Stafford, Mahomes, Burrow, and Herbert. He's got a higher QBR rating than every quarterback in the NFL except for Mahomes, Tua, Hurts, and Josh Allen. He had the best quarterback rating in the entire league, including Mahomes, Tua, Herbert, A-Rod, Jimmy G, Lance. You name every quarterback you want. Brock had the highest QB rating in the NFL and 8.1 yards per attempt, second in the NFL. And yet people are going to jump up and down and say, you need to put in Lance. You need to put in Lance. And Lance could be awesome. But last year, 33rd in the NFL at yards per attempt. The one stat that actually defines, do you push the ball down the field? Yards per attempt. Purdy second, Lance 33rd. And yet people are like, get Purdy out of there. Get Lance in there. How about this? How about if you lose, be critical. If you win, shut up and just enjoy it. 49er fans need to stop analyzing Brock Purdy to death and just appreciate the fact that this guy ran the table at the end of the year and won 2 playoff games. And the only playoff game he didn't win is because he got knocked out. And start appreciating Brock Purdy for what he's actually doing. And if you're really going to make these claims that he's dink and dunk, you're an idiot, because you can't point to anything that he does that's dink or dunk. He drove the ball down the field better than Jimmy G. He has better numbers throwing the ball down the field than the other quarterbacks that he's competing with this summer. So I think people need to pump the brakes on the Brock Purdy hate and start appreciating the fact that the guy that you want is the guy that you got, and just appreciate it. Now, if Trey Lance can beat him out this summer, awesome. More power to him. As I said, Trey Lance at North Dakota State in his college career averaged 9.3 yards per attempt. If he gets close to that number in the pros, he's going to be leading the league. And at that point, that will be worthy of, you know what? Trey Lance. But until that happens, Brock Purdy is doing for the 49ers exactly what he did for Iowa State. Exactly what he did. Win a ton of games and challenge down the field. All right, hope you enjoyed the 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being our proud sponsor. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krueg Show on YouTube.